To me, what it means is trying to be an active listener and be the guy that will listen to what somebody is telling me before thinking about what my response is going to be.
Now, that's so powerful because I know as a leader, there's got to be an incredible temptation. Take something, hear an idea and go, already know in your mind, no, we're not going that direction right now.
Yeah.
But to have the emotional intelligence and the empathy to really sit and listen and understand and see what you can learn, that's an incredible level of humility.
I have a good friend of mine always says this. He goes, if the answer to the question doesn't involve people, then I question why you asked.
Part of being a leader is being humble and is also being vulnerable and also having confidence, if that makes sense, right? The guy in the chair is not the guy that has all of the ideas.
How do you encourage not only your employees, but your franchise owners to bring you ideas?
Our number one core value that we always try to talk about in the building and with all of our franchisees is we win and work together. So the only way that I can win is if a franchisee wins. We have to start from the position of everything we do, we've got to be thinking about how does this benefit both parties of the game?
That's worth putting a highlighter on. Win and work together. It's so, so beautiful.
One of the things that the management team decided together was that we needed to build a culture and we needed to have a healthy culture where we could share that with our franchisees and we could enjoy coming to work together.
Welcome to the Culture from the Heart podcast on the From the Heart Business Network. In a business world where employees and customers crave authenticity and trust, hosts Larry Levine and Darrell are on a mission to find and showcase heart-centered executives and the companies they lead. You are about to hear an inspiring conversation with a visionary leader that's bringing heart into the workplace, empowering employees, serving their clients, and uplifting communities, all to create true success. This is Culture from the Heart. The movement starts here. Let's begin.
Welcome to Culture from the Heart. I'm your co-host, Darrell, here today with Larry Levine, and we're joined by Tod Bierling, President and CEO of Enviro-Master Services, an award-winning commercial health and safety leader. Tod, welcome to Culture from the Heart. It's great to have you here.
Great to be here.
We're going to have such a fun conversation today because I know you have so many great things to share with us. As we get started, though, you know the question every guest on Culture from the Heart answers, and that is, Tod, what does it mean to you when you think of the words culture from the heart?
Well, I think it means, building a culture where leadership can lead with empathy. And it's having an attitude of really seeking first to understand where people are coming from and what they're trying to say, whatever their point is, they're trying to get across to you as leader, whatever they're pitching to you. I think it starts with seeking first to understand, and then going from there to, okay, well, here's my point of view, and getting them to understand where, a senior executive or whatever would stand on the issue.
Hey, you know what, Tod? I'm glad that you brought that up because I personally love this seek to understand. So when you think about this, if we could just peel this back just a little bit more, just in the day in the life of Tod, when you seek to understand, what's that mean to you? I'm just curious.
Well, to me, what it means is trying to be an active listener and be the guy that will listen to what somebody is telling me before thinking about what my response is going to be. Right. So there's a lot of ideas that constantly get thrown at you when you're in the chair. And so you've got to try to make decisions on which way the company is going to go, because there's a lot of great ideas that come through. And sometimes those great ideas, just the timing is wrong. But how you communicate that message to a franchisee or to an employee, I think it's really important for them to get the message that I'm listening to what you have to say. And it might be a great idea and we can make a plan to execute what you're talking about. Or it just might not be the right time. But to me, I think it's important to have the emotional intelligence to always be thinking about, okay, where is this person coming from? What are they trying to really tell me? And is this something we can do?
Now that's so powerful, because I know as a leader, there's got to be an incredible temptation to take something, hear an idea and go, already know in your mind, no, we're not going that direction right now.
Yeah.
But to have the emotional intelligence and the empathy to really sit and listen and understand and see what you can learn, that's an incredible level of humility.
I think, yeah, and that's definitely a learned skill. I think part of being a leader is being humble, and is also, being vulnerable, but being vulnerable and also having confidence, if that makes sense. Right. So, but the guy in the chair is not the guy that has all of the ideas. That's some of the best ideas that this company has done from a new service perspective and new product perspective. That doesn't come from me. That bubbles up from everybody else.
Hey, so you brought up a good word, Todd, on this ideas. How do you encourage not only your employees, but your franchise owners to bring you ideas?
Yeah.
What's that look like?
Well, I mean, we have a convention every year. We have a lot of system-wide calls. We have town hall meetings with our franchisees. But I think from an even higher perspective, it starts with the company's core values. And our number one core value that we always try to talk about in the building and with all of our franchisees is we win and work together. So we can't win without each other, and we have to work together. So the only way that I can win is if a franchisee wins. And I have to win for a franchisee to win. So we're tied at the hip. So we have to start from the position of everything we do. We've got to be thinking about, how does this benefit both parties of the game? And ultimately, our franchisees have got to grow and make money. That's the whole reason why they buy.
I just love that line. That's worth putting a highlighter on. We win and work together. This is so beautiful. Todd, I'm curious, as a leader, what inspired you to prioritize culture in your leadership journey?
Oh man, I think that starts with, I've got a long past. So
don't we all?
Yep.
And I worked for a great company. The predecessor of this company was a company called Swisher Hygiene. We rolled up 100 different businesses in a little over a year. And the company went from having a culture to having none. And having no culture is not healthy for a company. And this company was acquired about 2.5 years ago by private equity. And one of the things that the management team decided together was that we needed to build a culture. And we needed to have a healthy culture where we could share that with our franchisees and we could enjoy coming to work together. So part of that journey, I guess, started going through, what does it look like to not have a culture? And the importance and the recognition is we have to have one if we're going to win. So we got together over the scope of probably 3 to 6 months to really identify, who are we as a company? What should our core values be, so that we've always got a center to come back to?
That's beautiful. I love that. Well, I'm looking forward to unpacking that story in our next segment. So don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to dive deeper into the EnviroMaster story of building a culture. At Culture from the Heart, we believe that great leaders put their people first, leading with empathy and purpose. That's why we're thrilled to partner with Learn It, a global leader in learning for over 30 years, to bring you an exclusive offer: 45 days of free unlimited training for your team with a minimum of 5 participants.
This isn't just about skills. It's about creating a culture where your people feel valued, supported, and empowered to grow. Did you know that 94% of employees are more likely to stay at companies that invest in their development? Culture from the heart means giving your team the tools they need to thrive, not just for today, but for the future.
LearnIt's courses help your team master essential skills like communication, collaboration, and emotional intelligence, all foundations of a people-first workplace. It's about fostering resilience, connection, and growth.
Don't wait. Visit learnit.com/culture to claim your 45 days of free training and start building a workplace where your people and your business can thrive.
That's learnit.com/culture. Start enhancing your learning culture today. Welcome back to Culture from the Heart. We're here with Tod Bierling talking about the journey of culture inside EnviroMaster. Tod, you were in the previous segment. We're talking about this story of going on a 6-month journey to intentionally create the culture inside EnviroMaster. That's beautiful. I know our listeners would love to learn more about how that journey unfolded.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit of a book nerd. So I read this book by Vern Harnish. It's called Scaling Up, right?
Beautiful.
And so he talks about the 4 pillars of a business being people, strategy, execution, and cash, right? And the first pillar is people. And I think the first pillar is people for a reason. Because, our business is so people-centric, service-centric. If we don't get the people part right, then I don't know how you have a strategy or you execute or you even keep money. So, I think that in order to have the right people, you've got to have the right culture, and culture starts with core values. So that book talked about that quite a book. A million other books do too. So that was just what the senior management team decided. Hey, this is where we should start.
And I'm glad that you brought up people, and I'm sitting here listening to what you're saying. And I have a good friend of mine who always says this. He goes, if the answer to the question doesn't involve people, then I question why you asked it. And I think everything starts with your people. You got to pour into your people.
Yeah. And, you've got the answer. You just don't know the right question. Isn't that how that goes? Probably have the answer. Just the question's wrong.
So you started with the values. I'm curious, what are some of the core values that ended up defining the culture?
Yeah. So we talked about we win and work together. Mm-hmm. Another one is always Kaizen, right? So I've read a few books around Lean Six Sigma. So Kaizen is continuous improvement, right? So every day we want to come in and figure out how do we get better every single day. Relationships, service, whatever it is we're doing, if it's providing the service to the end user customer or supporting our franchisees, what do we do? What do we have to do every single day to get better? Another one is actions speak louder than words. We can talk all we want, but if we don't do what we say we do, then all of this is for naught. Another one is every day we hustle. Right? We're not going to let anything go and not try to act quickly on it. Another one is enjoy the journey. We're here together, right? So a lot of people here voluntarily work a lot of hours. So if we're going to spend that much time together, we should enjoy what we do. And if we're not enjoying it, then what are we doing? So there's a lot of laughter in the hallways. There's a lot of cutting up and joking around. There's obviously a lot of time to be serious, but I think it's important to have that culture of laughter and enjoyment of who you're working with. And then go ahead.
No.
Okay. The last one is we drive through the windshield and not the rear view mirror, right? So if you think about where you're going, the rear view mirror, the financial statements, the vision is perfect every single time. I can read a financial statement as good as anybody and tell you what's going on. But we ought to be able to tell what that thing's going to look like by what's happening in front of us. So we control the rearview mirror by how we drive through the windshield.
That's so good. That's so good. Hey, I got a question, because there's some people that may not be familiar with the Japanese work culture. How'd this come into play? I'm curious how you're sitting down, you're coming up with some of your core values, and all of a sudden you flip to some Japanese work culture. Where'd this come to be?
Oh, the always Kaizen thing?
Yeah.
That's just some books that I've read and other people in the office read as well. And so it Kaizen is just a great word that signifies, hey, every day we're going to do something better than we did the previous day. We're going to look ahead and try every day to make small improvements. And the culmination of small improvements turn into big ones. And that really is kind of what our business is. We're a low dollar, high volume business. So, I mean, we add anywhere between 5,000 and 6,000 new accounts every single year. That's a lot of bathrooms, right? So we've got to do a lot of little things right every single day.
It's amazing. Well, I love how you began with values, and I'm curious, of course, so many leaders, so many companies have the meeting, they talk about the values, they come up with the statements. How did that transfer into action inside the company and actually becoming the defining aspects of your culture?
Yeah. So great question. So how this whole process really started was we started looking around, and we're around a table and just said, hey, what we defined as the best people that work for us today, what makes them special? And what do they do every day for our company and for our franchisees that really fits the culture that we want long term? So it wasn't just, sitting around this conference room table and saying, oh man, who do we want to be? It was, what do the best people here do? And how do we make that into everybody? And so we came up with those things. We shared the first round with all of our franchisees. We put a suggestion box in the office and, hey, if you've got any ideas on what you think the best people here do and what you see as EnviroMaster's core values, here's a 3x5 card, stick it in the hole. We'll take that to the meeting, and when we'll evaluate that as well. And this wasn't just an overnight thing. It was okay, I think they're this, and then come back another week later. Oh, okay, I heard what you said. Is it that, or is it really this? So it was a process to get there.
Hey, Todd, I'm just in the very beginning of this. What was some of the feedback? What were people sharing with you in the first round of this? If you can remember.
Yeah, that was a while ago. We talked a lot about urgency, being urgent. And the more we talked about being urgent, if you think about the Covey book, urgent is not a good thing. Operating from an urgent perspective has a negative connotation. So we started to think about, okay, if it's not urgent, what is it? Well, it's hustle. You want to act fast, but you want to do the right things, but do them in a manner that gets them done to where people appreciate that you're paying attention to them and you're getting things done quickly.
Well, everybody, don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to dive into some insights for the future and some lessons learned along the way. You're listening to Culture from the Heart. At Culture from the Heart, we know that hiring the right salespeople and leaders for your company is about more than just resumes. It's about finding individuals who have what it takes to succeed. That's why we're excited to offer candidate assessments from Selling from the Heart to help ensure you make great hiring decisions for your sales team.
Based on data from surveys of over 2.2 million sales professionals and sales leaders, these assessments benchmark your candidates against the core skills of top-performing salespeople and leaders. You'll gain unparalleled insight into their potential, uncovering whether they have the mindset, abilities, and behaviors needed to thrive in your organization.
It's not just about filling a role. It's about ensuring that every sales hire aligns with your culture and contributes to your success. Don't leave your next hire to chance.
Visit sellingfromtheheart.net/hiring and discover how candidate assessments can help you build a winning team. Make your next hire with confidence because your business deserves the best.
Welcome back. Before the break, we were exploring how culture unfolded at EnviroMaster Services. And let's continue with Tod. And I want to hear, Tod, what have you learned along the way? I mean, this has been quite a journey for you, and you've been doing this really working on this culture for a while. What would you say to other executives that are thinking about, hey, what could we do to improve our corporate culture?
Yeah. Well, I think that, culture has to always be worked on, and you can't take your eye off of it, right? So there's a lot of distractions that happen just in business, right? And there's a lot of different things that are always coming at you. And if you take your eye off of culture, you can lose it quickly.
So let's just say I want to continue down this road. So let's just say, for instance, because sometimes it happens, just life and business gets in the way. You take your eye off of culture for a little bit. You sense that it's veering off the freeway on the fastest off ramp it possibly can get off on. How do you steer this back in the right direction?
I think you just got to get back together with the team and say, guys, we're off track. Let's come back and think about what are the things that are most important to us. What got us here? And it's culture, and it's these things. So how do we get back on track with doing these things the way we should be doing it? It's I think it gets back to that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's something that as leaders, we've always got to be doing, is bringing everybody back. I'm curious, you're a fast growth organization. EnviroMaster Services has been incredibly successful. I know you're always onboarding not only new people to your team, but also new franchise owners and their teams. How do you get people? What do you do to bring them into the culture and ensure that that it's going to become part of their DNA as well?
It's a great question. What's amazing is I think when you have a healthy culture, people see it and they just naturally want to be part of it. And bringing people in has never been, and getting them aligned with our culture has really not been that big of an issue for us. First of all, these core values are plastered all over the place. So there's no reason why you shouldn't know what they are. Our employees are given a 3x5 card, and then in meetings, what we try to do is celebrate. Hey, give me an example of somebody who executed. We went and worked together this week, and then every quarter, we actually give a core value award out to one of our employees. So we make a big deal out of it. And one of our employees is recognized with, hey, this person executed this core value, to a high degree this quarter. And we're going to recognize this person for that. And they get a little trophy. We have cake and ice cream, and just try to make a big deal out of it.
Oh, that's so good. Okay, so Tod, I'm throwing Tod on the hot seat, Darrell.
Okay.
We're talking about celebrating wins.
Yeah.
So can you just share, just in recent memory, share with us a recent celebration, a recent win? Somebody came to the forefront, shared a story, shared something, what that looked like, and how'd you celebrate it?
Oh, so, I mean, if you can imagine, 30,000 plus 40,000 customers, there is an awful lot, and those are weekly customers. There's a lot of invoices. There's a lot of corporate billings. I don't know how many different ways we bill. Like, if you think about all of our corporate customers, probably like 25 different ways. And inevitably, somebody gets behind. And we had one of our accounts receivable associates identify a problem with a very large company and was able to recover money that was 90 to 120 days old, explain the problem to the customer, was able to get all of these invoices together and get the money collected without somebody over their shoulder saying, hey, what's going on with this customer? How come they just took the initiative to get it done. And it's those types of things that we celebrate. We try to celebrate wins that our franchisees bring in. If a franchisee sells a great deal, we want everybody to know about it. So
I love it. I love it. Culture of celebration. As we wrap up, Tod, and this has been a phenomenal conversation. I'm curious, just if you could say one thing to the executives that are listening in to encourage them around the importance and value of culture, what would you say?
I would say it's where it starts. Right? I think that having a healthy culture in a company is where a successful company starts. And if you don't have that, I don't think the company will ever reach the potential that it could have. It's everything is people. Everything is people. And everything, I should say, is the right people, right? So there's a distinction there. Having the right people on your team, but those people understand what the values are and what their expectations are. If you have that, then you will be extremely successful. And if you don't, you won't. It won't reach its full potential for sure.
Good.
So good. Tod, what a fantastic conversation. Just on behalf of the audience, thank you so much for sharing not only your wisdom, but also your heart with us today. This has been fantastic. I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure, Tod.
What a great conversation, Larry.
No, the first thing that comes to mind is this seek to understand, Darrell. Mm-hmm. So powerful as a leader. Seek to understand, listen to your people.
That's right. And the humility it takes to do that, I think, was truly inspirational. So many great things here. Make sure to check the show notes for details about this. And I loved the way that Tod put together the values inside the company by actually drawing them out of some of the best people in the organization and that were doing things right. Such a great conversation today.
Absolutely. And here's what I'll ask is, if you're inspired by our conversation today with Tod, here's what I want us to think about. And I'm going to go back to this seek to understand. I challenge you as leaders, seek to understand this week. Listen to your people, because we do know this: small changes are going to create some big ripples inside your company.
That's right. Well, we're committed here at Culture from the Heart to tell the stories of heart-centered executives from amazing companies. And so we're thankful that you joined us today. And I've got two asks of you. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to like or subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And would you help us out by sharing the Culture from the Heart podcast? You can share this episode on whatever social platform that you hang out on, and we'll watch for you if you tag it with a hashtag Culture from the Heart. So thank you for joining us today on Culture from the Heart. Until next time, lead with your heart and watch your culture thrive.
Thank you for joining us on this journey to discover heart-centered leaders shaping extraordinary company cultures. To access a leader guide with notes from this week's episode, simply click the link in the show notes or visit us at www.culturefromtheheart.com. Do you know a CEO who's built a culture from the heart? We'd love to hear their story. Head over to www.culturefromtheheart.com and click the Nominate Your CEO button. Until next time. Remember, great cultures start with the heart.